McRoy here, just doing a quick recording for week 9, Monday. We were setting up our billboard files for our environmental graphics. So we did 48 wide inches by 12 height. Remember, it's 1 by 4. We did 300. We're going to go ahead and create. And here's where we start kind of our proportions. I'm going to go ahead and unlock that layer. Just so that we can manipulate it, get rid of it, do what we have to do with it later. Okay, so remember in class, we did file open, we went over to our Mountain Dew folder, and we brought in our mountains, right? So we did Command A, Command C to copy it, and then we did Command V to paste it, and here is our move tool, have it selected. Now remember, this is like itty bitty. So what we did was we went in and we converted it to a smart object so that we could make it larger. We went ahead and made it larger. Here it is, right about there. We're going to go ahead and hit return. Now remember, smart object basically freezes its shapes, and that's why we're able to scale it up a little bit. Now, once we scale it up, we want to then convert it back to pixels so that we have access to all the beauty that is Photoshop. So we went in and did rasterize layer. And so I'm going to go ahead and name this mountains. And we'll just rename this canvas or background. All right, and then we came in for our next image, and we grabbed our Mountain Dew can, so select all, copy, Command A, Command C, Command V. We're going to do the same step. We're going to make it a smart object. We're going to scale it up, hit return. So there it is. There's our cans. I'm going to go then and re-rasterize the layers so they're pixels again, right? So now we have mountains and cans. And then the third thing we did in class was we opened up the logo. So far so good on the logo, and we used our selection tool to select our logo. And remember, we were messing around in class. I try to use the tools that we have been exposed to so far. So we tried the lasso tool, which is great for selecting this object. We could actually get in here and select all of this, right? Nico said that he had used the quick selection tool, and you could get in here and literally just drag a box and highlight this. We haven't been exposed to the quick select tool yet, and so it does similar to the magic wand. It just tracks along similar color, like it tries to follow along similar color. So you see how I went into that white and it grabbed the white, so you could just kind of drag this along for the direct select, and it will grab your pieces. You just have to be careful that any of the selection tools you use, so you see how this inside here has to be selected. I've got a little area over here that has to be selected. So any of the selection tools that you use, there will be a little area of cleanup or issue in most cases. So like this little corner right there has to be removed. This got added to the trees, so it has to be removed. There are so many different tools inside Photoshop that lets you select pixels, manipulate pixels. Sometimes my brain doesn't go to some of the ones that maybe your brain will go to, as far as kind of what fits your eye the best. So there are lots of just different ways to select pixels inside of Photoshop. So you see like that. So for me, it's like what my brain goes to, right? Some of you, it might be the polygon lasso because this is a pretty straight line. And so you can select it that way. But either way, we have to extract the logo from the background. So we'll copy it. Magic wand tool, quick select tool, any of the lasso tools, select subject, and there'll always be a little level of cleanup. But there we go. We have our basic little logo dropped in there. So we'll throw that in the corner. Now, what I like to do and what I like to use oftentimes, and so I'll go in here and let's just open up a new window and I'll minimize my canvas. I like to go into, I don't know if anyone's ever gone to brandsoftheworld.com, but you could go in here and type in Mountain Dew. And so here's the Mountain Dew logo. So I could click on there. Let's close this. I could download a vector version of the Mountain Dew logo, which is right here. So depending on the product that you select, Brands of the World might have a version of the logo already vectorized. So here it is. And so we're going to copy this. Now, here's the difference between that logo and this logo. So if I close that and I paste this as a smart object, we get a really nice version of the logo. So I'm just going to drop that in the corner. And so there are lots of vector files out there, vector websites where you can get an EPS file or an AI file or an SVG file. So when you're looking for your one vector element, try Vecteezy.com. So Vecteezy.com. And you can find a vector graphic, or you can go Brands of the World, brandsoftheworld.com, and they have some really great logos, and they have some of the sub-brands for some of the brands, like the Mermaid for Starbucks and things like that. Or you can go to Google and you can type in free vector graphics, and here is Vecteezy. They have free pics. Pixel Bay I've tried a couple of times. There's a bunch of different free vector sites out there, but make sure you have at least one EPS file. The easy go-to would be to go to Brands of the World and download your logo. If you pick a pretty primary brand of some kind of product or service, they should have it. Or you can go to Vecteezy and download a graphic. The reason I want that is because I want us now to start interacting with both vector graphics and raster graphics. So I'm going to go into my folder, my Mountain Dew folder, and I'm going to open up the skateboard EPS file that I got in Vecteezy. And here he is. I'm going to copy him, Command C. I'm going to go over to Photoshop, Command V, as a smart object. Here he is. And so I'm going to put him kind of up here and hit return. So you'll notice I have two vector objects, right? Two smart objects. I now have that new logo I brought in that was vector, and I also brought the skateboarder in, which is vector. Now, in class, we did one last step. We did image canvas size, and we made an adjustment to the canvas from the bottom center, right? We made an adjustment from the bottom center to the height of this thing. So I'm just going to go 4,000. I need to make it a little bit bigger. Image canvas size from the center bottom. Let's do 4,500. And so now I have this little bit of transparency, and that'll allow me to put his head up above the billboard so that they can do a little die cutout. Now, when we did that, we went in and used our rectangular selection tool to make sure that both the mountain image and the can image had the same transparency behind it. So we're going to go ahead and hit delete from the mountains. We're going to select our cans and hit delete just to make sure there's the same equal line. The reason we did that was because now we could add a shadow to our skateboarder if we wanted to. So I'm going to crank this up a little bit. All right, so there's his shadow, so you can really see him. And I'm going to make him 50% shadow. And so now with the move tool, we can start to add dimension to our billboard, and that's what we're going to do in class. And I could do the same thing for the logo, add a drop shadow to it. So now those are sitting on top. We're gonna do, to just kind of give you a preview of next class, we're actually gonna go in and make some copies of this, and we're gonna do edit. We're gonna adjust our color balance in here. And let's just change the background a little bit. Give it a little bit more toxicity, like the image. So we're gonna do that, and then let's apply it to the image on the top. So we're gonna do image color balance, crank that up a little bit. So there it is, make it a little more green, like the cans. And then I'm gonna select the mountain below it, and I'm going to make it black and white. And so let me hide the top one so you can see it. So image, adjust. And then we're gonna turn this one back on, and we're gonna start feathering in some of our toxic color, just so that you can see. So I'm gonna highlight that. I'm also gonna feather the edge a little bit. And then I'm gonna bring in the image that is the cans. I'm gonna slide this over just a little bit. I'm gonna put it under the mountains so you can start to see what's happening with the images. So let's just turn that. And so let's take this. So we're gonna start using some different techniques now of the different things we've done in Photoshop so far. There it is. And so let's select our cans here. Let's see how our mountains are doing. So let's move those over just a little bit. Right about there. Now, and we're going to just start just doing different things with our images to start creating kind of an interesting collage of images and transparencies and different things like that. So then we'll go in and we'll name this cans. And then we're going to go in and select the basic shape of our cans. I'm going to add the shadow that's kind of on the bottom of here because I want to separate that. I'm just going to clean up this edge just ever so slightly. And we're going to do copy paste. And so now we have cans cut out. So you can see what we're going to start tackling in our lecture. So let's do, let's adjust the curves a little bit. And so you see, I'm just gonna kind of darken the can a little bit so that I could go in now and bring the bottom of it to life, but leave the top with a little more higher contrast of image. And so now you can see that. So that's what it looks like without the highlight. That's what it looks like with the highlight. So we're starting to change the light source inside of our image here. And then we need to remember that we have hashtag do the do. And so I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to make it like 200 point. Do the do. I'm going to change it to a typeface that's a little more blocky. So let's go with medium. I'm going to use the move tool and make sure this is at the top of the layer. Oh, I have a typo there. Double click. Add the E. Do the do. I'm going to use typography to kind of, maybe we make this all caps. Do the do. Make that a little thinner. Make this a little thicker. So do the do. And then watch if I use my text tool and I just highlight this like word. I'm going to go in and sample some of these colors. I think I'm going to go with one of these brighter yellows. Do the do. Let's make it like 180. Might be a little too big. There we go. I'll start to do that. And now that we have our cans cut out, like we could go back in here, select subject, and I'm going to copy and paste another version just so we have multiple versions underneath of it. I'm going to go in and add a new layer, I think, and I'm going to start to add some interest to this. Let's just draw like a little rectangle back there. Inside the rectangle, let's make it I don't know, let's start there. I don't know what color palette I want to use just yet, so I'm not sure, but I do know that I want to kind of move it up so we can start to get it interacting with some of the elements. I can always scale it down a little bit. So we're going to start just playing around with what we have going on here. I don't know, maybe it's better if we just make it like a white. I'm trying to figure out what I like about this. So let's try it in. I'm just trying different colors to see what works. Ooh, the green's kind of nice. Nice with our design. So we're just starting to interact our elements now, starting to learn how to kind of bring some of these pieces together. Like what if we made him even bigger so that he really interacts with the page. So there he is. Now let's see what happens if I move that stripe down. Just a little bit. So that's interesting. And then let's rasterize our shape so it's pixels. And then maybe I want to do a little bit something like this. Now do the do isn't working because now I have the skateboard guy on top of it. So let's move do the do to the top. Now it's legibility and readability. We need to make sure that we can read what we're trying to do here. Maybe we put a little bit more like that. I'm going to move this guy over just ever so slightly so that he's like that. All right, so for class, so let's just name this McElroy Billboard. So for class, we're going to continue to build our template, work on some of our techniques. We're going to work on lighting source a little bit and show you how to do some different things with lighting. We're going to continue to collage our elements together, and we're going to talk about composition, the die cut line, which is the line across here, and how we can interact with space. In New York City, they're doing a lot of these custom cutouts in their billboards to bring in three-dimensionality into a two-dimensional space. So we're going to continue exploring that. And so make sure you have at least one vector element, 2 high-resolution photographs for our billboard assignment, and also the logo, whether you have a good high-quality rasterized version of it or you go to brandsoftheworld.com and download a vector version of it. Let's try to have our elements together because we're going to finish our template in class, and then you'll be able to build your billboards. All right, gang, have a good day.